Hello and welcome back to Mellohi, a DSMP podcast. This is episode 51 and today I'll be discussing Eret and their recent lore stream. As always, we refer to the characters by name and specify when we're talking about the writers. Hello, we are back.
Hello. Hello. It's us.
So this is going to be a bit of a weird one because literally none of us have watched the stream that we're going to be talking about.
In full.
Like, we are just going to use recaps and the stuff that we've seen people shouting about online.
Yeah.
In our defense, we were busy at the time it happened.
Yeah. I've got exams to study for, okay?
Yeah.
But I am going to pull up, I think Unbiased Lore's done a recap.
Unbiased Lore's done a recap. I've read, just like the main Dream SMP updates has done a recap.
So the funniest thing about this stream, when we're talking about specifically Irish and Wilbur's streams, which sort of overlapped for most of the time, aside from the very start and very end, I think.
I think so.
One of the things I think is the funniest thing about it is, like, we always talk, and a lot of, like, especially people who like Dream's character, always talk about how, well, we like all characters, even if we're critical of a lot of them. Like, even if we like a character, even if, like, we dislike a character and are super critical about them, oftentimes we'll still just really like them as characters. And then when this stream was happening,
The entire
in the Dreebler
Discord.
Yeah, in the Dreebler Discord, I went into the live blogging
It was just
channel, and it was just like everyone shouting at Eret, and it was hilarious.
Everybody, it was
It's just like
screaming.
Dreebler is pro every character but Eret.
Apparently.
I know Puffy sometimes falls into that.
Yeah, I've noticed Sea-Dream apologists tend to be very, very critical
Yeah.
of Sierra.
It's like we don't care about like what they've done. Like, they could have like murdered an entire town. They could have done like the worst atrocities possible. But like being an inconsistent character
That's the worst crime you could do.
is like the worst crime.
It's actually,
And I think like it really shows that people who like Dream's character are often people who don't really care about the morality side. We care about like what's
What makes them a
fun,
good character?
like what makes good fiction, what makes a good story.
Yeah.
That's what we care about, not like the whole purity culture deal.
We
Yeah.
hate
You
hypocrites.
can only like a character if
and
they're morally good.
inconsistencies. Well, actually, we don't hate hypocrites, we just get mad at them.
No, it's not even that. It's like because there's a bunch of us that like Sam's character, and that's basically half of his personality.
I know.
It's just that we know that it's purposeful with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I'm pretty sure another half of the reason why everybody was yelling at Eret was because, considering the stuff Dream's gone to, and considering, it's almost like in comparison to what Eret's gone through with the whole Eret as a character has faced a lot, and as a content creator, has faced a lot of criticism for being the traitor during the Lemberg Revolution, and obviously it's impacted their character so much to the point it's been over a year and they're still not over it. But but hearing them sort of like complain about it and whine about it, sort of just sent everybody's hackles rising in Dribbler. Because, well, when like, not everybody's gonna be Dream, and they're not gonna be able to look at what's happened to them and suck it up. But at the same time, it was a lot of there was a lot of emphasis.
I think part of
on
it is
that.
also that Eret's like saying like, well, when I betrayed them, it was like for peace on the server and stuff, and like that's just exactly Character Dream's motivations.
It does,
So it's like they're like, Dream was so evil when he manipulated me into like, I don't know, wanting there to be peace. Like, even if that was the case, that's not a bad thing.
Right, so I know one of the big, like, nitpicks people have, or I should say Sea-Dream apologists have with character Eret is how inconsistent they are, and that's partially because it's an inconsistency that you can't tell if it's on purpose, like he's a purposefully hypocritical character like you said, like Sam is, or if it's not on purpose, in which case
It's a puppy face.
that's obnoxious, or alternatively, because certain things that they say, because of that sort of dilemma of like, are you purposefully hypocritical or not, or like you purposefully, like, is the character purposefully deluding themselves, or is this what they actually believe, and what they claim actually happened, and that can be kind of difficult because it's a lot. several things that like character Eret has done have been inconsistent with what we as fans know as the truth or have experienced ourselves. And I know one of those things is the whole, at some point, a while back, content creator Eret made a Q&A or a thread or something about their character and said how she was tricked, was manipulated, was the first victim of character dreams manipulations.
And you go back and you watch the stream, and it's just like, ma'am, you were like building a throne.
Yep.
Out of the ruins of L'Manberg,
Yep.
and like laughing in their faces.
Yeah, so it really pissed people off because they were like, that doesn't make any sense. If you literally go back to, like, obviously we never saw the conversation between character Dream and character Eret that led Eret to betraying L'Manberg, but if you go back to those streams, character Eret is gleefully betraying them. Like, he's not doing it out of, like, he doesn't feel any guilt about it. She's, like, very, very deliberately, very clearly enjoying it, very proud of themselves, very boastful, very cocky about it, being like, ha ha ha, I tricked you, this is my giant throne, here's my giant castle, I can't believe you all fell for it, it was never meant to be. Like, he's very, she mocks them, basically, right?
Yeah.
And if they were just
like,
manipulated into
I think
that...
one of the issues is, like, I'm okay with retcons. So, like, it's fine, it makes sense that we kind of have to do them, especially because a lot of the early roleplay was a lot more lighthearted than it is now. I'm fine with people retconning stuff. But the thing is, you have to make it make sense with what actually happened.
Yeah.
So if it's maybe, like, the retcon is just changing maybe the motivation for an action.
Yeah.
While just, like, saying something that completely contradicts
Everything
how
that
they
we
actually
see.
acted.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it's
so...
Like, if they gave, like, an explanation for why their character acted that way, and used that as the retcon, I would be perfectly fine with that. My issue isn't with the retcon, it's that the retcon just doesn't really fit in with what actually happened.
And
It
so a
felt
lot of
more
people...
more like someone was jumping onto the everything is Dream's fault train because that's how everybody's building their characters.
Yeah, which doesn't always, actually make sense.
Like
It makes sense with characters like Sam, where it's, like, actively a part of his character that he thinks everything
It's Dream's fault.
is Dream's
Same with
fault,
Tommy's character.
Yeah. Like, you definitely, like, there's definitely characters who, blame everything on another character. But again, that goes back to the whole, like, well, is this clearly, like, kind of are they lying to themselves, or are they slightly, like, deluded about it? Whereas with character Eret, the problem was we could never really tell if it was purposeful on content creator Eret's part to be that sort of inconsistent, hypocritical, like, oh, no, things are definitely not all my fault. No, I was tricked into it. Like, because that could be
a lot of it is linked to, like, the
backlash.
backlash that content creator Eret got over the whole betrayal thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's...
Like, I think they very much want people to like their character.
Yeah, and I don't really...
So backpedal on that. Like, why are you doing that? The betrayal thing is, like, one of the most interesting things about your character.
Yeah.
That's something really fun to play with.
Yeah, so...
And, like...
Don't try and reverse it into it was never actually their fault.
Yeah.
So, disregarding everything that actually happened in the stream, because we don't really know the exact details of having, just know people's reactions and snippets here and there, but disregarding that and then looking at the sort of conversation it's brought up again, and, like, it's actually sort of highlighted is, I want to talk about Eret's betrayal and the sort of, line between character and content creator, and how Eret's actions as a character has drastically affected fandom perception of them as a content creator.
Interesting.
Well, I say this because I wasn't there when it happened, because I wasn't part of the fandom when it happened, but I've heard people say, I've heard people say, so anecdotally, that after the betrayal, there was huge backlash from the fandom over Eret betraying the L'Manberg side, the good side, the underdog side.
So, content creator Eret. See, so I wasn't around for the betrayal. I joined the proper fandom after that. So it was kind of close, but see, so I don't know how much of the backlash anger that people directed towards Eret was based off of the lore stuff, or because content creator Eret did have some controversy at some point after the at some point, I don't remember exactly when, but she did have some controversy around them for something that they said that their leader apologized for, so I don't really hold it against them or anything, but so I don't know how much of the backlash that she got was from the fandom because of the lore stuff versus comments that they made, because I'm assuming it's something of a mixed bag where it's a little bit of both.
Kind of like a dream.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
I dislike the idea of them. Well, first of all, just as a general statement for anyone listening who's not mature enough to realize this, don't get angry with content creators for something that their characters did.
Yeah.
Their characters are not perfect people. That's kind of the point, and it's a bit ridiculous to then, I don't know, get angry with, and harass a content creator for something that their purposefully flawed character did. The characters are gonna do shitty things or say shitty things. Like, you shouldn't get mad at Dream because his character's an asshole. Or you shouldn't get mad at Wilbur because his character's an asshole.
He's an asshole.
Or you shouldn't get mad at Tubbo and Rambo because they're they do something mean to somebody else. Like, you shouldn't get mad at BBH because he says something negative towards character Tommy. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't get angry.
And immature.
Yeah, you shouldn't get angry at content creators for something that their characters do, because you have to realize that this is a story, and the characters are not perfect people who know everything, so they are going to say shitty things because they have
not even
opinions.
It's
and it's not, they're characters, you shouldn't get mad at the content creators playing them when they say something about or do something to another character. Like, that's kind of ridiculous.
But it's not even just about the fact that their characters are flawed. It's about the fact that these guys are just friends having fun, and they'll say random shit to each other, or talk about how much Tommy's an asshole and a gremlin and a thief and destructive. But why should you get mad about it? Because, Tommy is like that. When he on the server, he is like that. But again, it's not even just that they are flawed characters, it's just that they are characters, period. They're not real people. It's not real content creator bad griefing real content creator's house by piling obsidian on it.
That's kind of it's kind of the same as if you were watching a TV show and your favorite character, or a character you don't really like does a sudden betrayal of another character. Sure, get mad at the character. Do not get mad at the content creators because they are writing them.
Even with Dream SMP, and because it's a YouTube Twitch series on YouTube, it actually benefits someone if your characters get into a conflict, because it gives you both content to create based around that,
stuff to record, plot lines to make.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're streaming and making interesting content, then people are going to be watching that, and you are literally getting paid for that.
Exactly!
So, Dream SMP characters, getting in fights is literally benefiting the content creators involved.
And it's benefiting us as the audience, because it means we get content.
We get content! But yeah,
that should not be a super hard thing to understand. So don't harass or, write mean comments about creators for the actions of their characters, unless their character is being homophobic or something. Sure, if they're being genuinely
that's fine,
problematic.
The character, as long as they make it clear that the character's doing that.
Well, yeah, but even then, there's certain boundaries of you can get mad at a writer for a TV show if they do something perpetually awful with the characters, you know? Like, you can get kind of mad at the writers being like, why the fuck would you do this to your show? Like, why would you put this in your show? If they're not handling something in a proper way. It's like,
but
you
that's
can have a
also,
character.
but that's a difference between, like, actual media, mainstream media, where people spend thousands of dollars to create live-action TV shows, or even animated TV shows, whatever, versus amateur streamers playing Minecraft.
Like, let's say it's like a movie, and say it's like a Marvel movie, right? That's gone through screenwriters. Has had hundreds of people working on it. It's got the actors reading the scripts. Well, I mean, like the old ones did. It seems they don't give the actors scripts anymore. You've got all the people editing it and putting it together. Then you've got like test audiences and everything. Like, those movies go through so many steps. So many people looking over them that can spot something.
Yeah.
They're gonna
And
be
then
polished.
look at Dream SMP, and it is literally just a guy
It's a Google Doc.
sitting in his bedroom,
In separate Discord DMs.
just saying whatever comes into his mind that will make an interesting story. You cannot expect the same level.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, no, that should never be. I think it's weird to say that people hold, like, the Dream SMP to too high of a standard, even though I think they do, but, like, the Dream SMP, I think we've talked about this a ton, because it's universally true, so it comes up a lot. It's just that the Dream SMP is a very unique form of media and storytelling, because it's kind of like going to watch...
best compared to, like, live play podcasts.
Yeah.
Stuff like the Adventure Zone.
Yeah.
Or Critical Role.
Or
in
even
terms
just,
of that it's
I don't know,
live,
collaborative fanfiction writing.
improvised.
But live time.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I think it's best compared to stuff like Critical Role, in the case that it is live, the actors are improvising, and they don't really have much of an idea where it's going to go. Like, the big difference is the existence of a DM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess you can compare D&D mechanics to the Minecraft mechanics and adding the extra quirkiness.
I've thought for the longest time whenever I was trying to come up with a comparison for, like, what Dream SMP is, and I've always compared it to, I mean, it's collaborative roleplay, right? Like, it's not like you're writing a script unless you're doing a pre-recorded, and even then, the pre-recordeds aren't completely scripted, and of course it is still collaborative. But it's collaborative roleplay. Like, everything is pretty much based in improv with only a few exceptions, and even that is just sort of like the same as you going into a group chat with your friends and being like, okay, I really want this to happen with my character, and everyone sort of
honestly,
agreeing, like,
even
yeah.
that's still improv. Like, I did drama classes, and a lot of the time when we did improv, we'd get like 5 to 10 minutes to just talk out a scene between each other.
Yeah.
But, like, we wouldn't, like, rehearse it.
Yeah, it's
we
like...
wouldn't know exactly what we were gonna say. We just have a basic outline. That's still improv.
Yeah.
Not
As
one
long as there's no
person
script, it is improv.
is in charge of everything. Everybody
Yes.
gets a chance to provide input on what they want to do,
Yeah.
which is
It's
very different
just-
from
yeah.
Marvel or a movie
Yeah.
or a TV show, because that's
Yeah.
usually got one directive head, creative head.
Although I do think people have, I think at this point, most people who are still into the lore who have been here for a while have realized that, you know, this isn't the same. Although I say that, and then I've seen some Twitter posts recently. I'm just like, I thought we got rid of you people. Okay. Anyways, yeah, no, we talked about that. No. So we were talking about character Eret though, and like, okay, yes, I did not watch the recent stream. However, I read the recap, and then I read a Tumblr post that I actually found interesting, because to tie it back to what we were talking about earlier, and largely how, like, a lot of Dream apologists don't like character Eret because he seems largely inconsistent, and we can't tell if it's on purpose or if it's not on purpose, and a lot of the time it seems like it's not on purpose, that he's meant to be hypocrite, that he's, you know, that Eret is just, you know, Eret is writing him as hypocritical without realizing it, which, you know, can be annoying. But anyways, one thing that I know that a lot of people complain about, and I've seen, it's interesting. It's been interesting seeing the reactions, because it's sort of a mixed bag. Majority of people I've seen have been complaining about how well, this doesn't make any sense for character Eret, this is inconsistent, this doesn't make any sense, blah 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 blah. Though, specifically, I think when they're talking about, like, his motivations for L'Manberg and whatever, I think that's been a long time complaint of people being like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because, you know, when you did it, you seemed real enthusiastic about it, and now, in a Twitter poll, you were claiming that character Dream manipulated him into it, and he didn't really want to do it, but then that doesn't match up with what actually seemed to happen in the story. And the interesting thing is somebody went back and went through basically Dream SMP lore and streams and stuff to try and figure out to see how inconsistent versus consistent character Eret's whole well, I did L'Manberg for peace, or I betrayed L'Manberg to... It's interesting, because now, at this point that we're currently in, I think character Eret's stated, reason for betraying L'Manberg was that he was trying to restore, peace to the server. He was like, well, if I get rid of the country... It's basically character Dream's motivation, right? It's character Dream's motivation, of... You know, get rid of the government, and we will be able to, you know, everything will go back to the way it was, which is, you know, that's the same as what Character Dream has stated, except Character Dream has gone down a very long, dark hole of not regretting his actions, whereas Character Eret does. But a lot of people were like, well, that doesn't seem consistent with him early on, because early on it seemed like he was really just like, this is a losing cause, I'm just gonna, you know, get my money, get my land, get my power, and betray these guys, because we're gonna lose no matter what. And that was part of it. But they've gone back and found these clips of him throughout the Dream SMP's history. And in every single one, it's actually his motivation of being like, well, if I betray L'Manberg, we'll get peace, and things will go back to the way they were, is actually really consistent. He has quotes all the way back to, like, the rebellion, of being like,
if content creator Eret wasn't a coward, Eret and Dream would have teamed up by now.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I don't know if that's fair, actually, because I think...
Actually, wait, no, that would just be like completely on brand for content creator Dream with his work so far. If Eret was actually secretly working for Dream the whole time.
I doubt it. But even...
And all the tweets about Eret being manipulated, it was all just misdirection.
It was all a lie.
That's interesting. I think I am gonna disagree with you on the coward. Like, if he wasn't a coward, he would actually still work with character Dream. Because I think, actually, the fact that character Eret has, after that one moment of betrayal, completely flipped, makes him an interesting foil or parallel to character Dream, which, as we've noticed, a lot of characters are. But the fact that his motivation is the same, it's bring everyone back to peace, get rid of or at least it was, his idea, his thought process was the same. But it actually makes sense when you think about that, ignoring the fact that it's not really manipulation, but I can very clearly see, because of character Eret stating that what they wanted was everything to go back to the way it was. They wanted everything to be peaceful, everyone to get along, there not to be conflict. That lines up very well with what character Dream's stated goal is of getting everyone to be one big happy family again. And I think it's an interesting... They've created a foil by having character Eret originally seemingly agreeing with Dream on the side of, we can do anything to get the peace that we want. We can do anything to get everything back. Betraying L'Manberg is, I will do anything. I think there's even a quote with the two of them talking about it, and where character Dream is like, well, I've done almost everything. And Eret says, well, I am everything. So, or, well, this will be everything. And so they do the rebellion, or the coup, what's the word? The betrayal. They do the betrayal. So it's interesting because at the beginning, so it shows the two of them that these are two characters with very similar motivations / goals. It's just that you then get this difference where Eret goes along with it. Eret goes along with the, I will do anything, and so he betrays L'Manberg. But the immediate consequences of that is, yes, technically we get peace, but suffering hasn't ended, conflict hasn't ended, everyone hates character Eret, except for the Dream SMP folks and, like, Nikki. And so she gets this, like, I don't know, it's like this...
They start regretting.
Yeah, they regret it. And that's where it becomes an interesting foil to Character Dream, because Character Dream has the same motivations, the same goals. Character Dream goes through with doing these terrible things, but they never regret it. They never stop. They never change. They never say, this is not the right way to do this, because they were hated, and he accepted it. Eret got hated and couldn't handle it, and said, wait, no, clearly what I've done wasn't worth it. So it's an interesting, like, I feel like I think that is a very interesting aspect. If character Eret, like, goes harder in on the, I've always wanted peace, I fucked up once before and I want to make it up to them because I want peace and I want that. Like, if you focus on that aspect of the character and then Character Dream, those are very interesting aspects. And if you get rid of the whole, like, I hate the character, or that Eret referred to it as manipulation once, because you could actually have, like, a very interesting thing with, like, these are two characters that have similar goals, motivations. It's just that one of them has a different method, and they talk to the other one around to their method once until they saw the consequences of it and couldn't, you know, accept it anymore. So it should create this sort of level of understanding between the two characters that I think would be really interesting, of character being like, I understand what your goals are, I understand what your motivations are, I can't justify things the way that you do, and that's why I'm opposed to you. But instead we get this whole, well, he's just pure evil.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because I think if you added, like, some self-reflection on character Eret's, like, part of being like, well, no, because I did something like that too. And at the time, I understood why. I had logic. I had reasoning as to why I thought it was necessary. I can understand how he does. I can understand his point of view. But I have developed to a point where I realize that there is more to it than that. That logic doesn't hold true. Like, so there should be a level of understanding there, I feel like. But instead it feels like Eret has, like, associated their mistake so heavily with Character Dream that they can't self-reflect in that way. They can't make the connection.
I think the reason why they're so gung-ho about putting the blame at Dream's feet is because they want to be, I feel like, and this is sort of the same with Wilbur as well, but they want to be on the right side of history. They want to be on the side that was the good side, that was seen as the righteous side. Like, you see it with Pogtopia.
It actually makes me kind of interested, like, if something changes in the future that causes another side to be seen as the good side, would they change sides again? Or are they kind of beyond that point?
I don't know, but it's like, you see it with when it happens most visibly after, of course, the First Amendment Revolution, and then they start noticing, like, hey, people still fucking hate me, and I feel like I'm now on the wrong side of history, and then Pogtopia comes around and is like, I want to support them because they're my friends, but also because I want to be on the right side of history again. They're, like, this entire time, they've been trying to make up for their betrayal, but they haven't been able to because A, there was no time in the lore for that.
Yeah.
And B, a lot of the people that they're trying to make up, they just don't forgive. They don't forget. And the people they try and... that, like Wilbur, for instance, fucking died the day of. Tommy's stubborn and Tubble's busy.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice of... And like, see, I don't know if this comes down to a character thing or if this is a content creator thing, of the fact that if you really think about, like, the L'Manbergians, Nikki doesn't care about the, you know, the betrayal anymore. Fundy doesn't care about the betrayal anymore. He does probably care about the fact that he said that Eret was gonna adopt him, and then didn't do it. So, like, that he's probably mad about still. But in terms of, like, L'Manbergians, like, Jack doesn't care. Nikki thinks it's old news. Nikki wasn't even there.
No.
Fundy doesn't care. Wilbur doesn't care. And I think at the end of that stream, though, I think Eret was like, I think I can, like, move on now. I can be my own person. Which is interesting because, from what I understand, a lot of that stream was Eret demanding an apology from Wilbur rather than him giving an apology to Wilbur.
I think they both apologized, but I feel like
so.
Eret should demand more apologies from Wilbur because Wilbur has a lot more to apologize for.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him for demanding demanding an apology from Wilbur. You know what? If I was in their shoes, I would do the exact same thing. Wilbur has a lot to apologize for. I don't know, but it is interesting that their focus is so heavily on Tommy and Tubbo have to forgive me, and not the fact that, you know, the majority of L'Manberg doesn't care now. The fact that Tommy and Tubbo still does is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I want to say though, like, Tommy and Tubbo, I feel like are, again, and this is going back to the whole, I feel like there is some sort of blurring crossing between the backlash content creator Eret got and the reaction character Eret got. Because, like, you're right, most of L'Manberg, they don't fucking care about the final control room betrayal. But
Not anymore,
yeah. The sort of the people who do care it's such a huge, I want to say, overreaction, because again, it's been years now and they don't even want to talk to Eret.
Yeah, it is very odd to me. The two people that they seem to think that they can't move on without the forgiveness of are Tommy and Tubbo. Which is interesting, because those are definitely the two characters or the two people in general, it's gonna be the hardest to get that forgiveness from, because Tommy holds a grudge like a little bitch, and Tubbo's just...
Tubbo.
Tubbo's just Tubbo. It's hard to explain with Tubbo, because, like, Tubbo will go around and just spend time with Eret and not give a shit. Tubbo will forgive Techno for literally murdering him, but Eret, no. Like, that was an interesting thing. It was like that final control room. Like, it goes to show, like, how significant the final control room was to the L'Manbergians. But on the other hand, it's such a weird, like, character
thing to be hung up about.
Flaw. Yeah, like, I get why, you know, like, it makes sense. Like, he literally, like, betrayed you, lured all of you into a false sense of friendship. The funny thing is, though, is that, like, if you think about it, though, he technically has gotten the forgiveness of Tommy, and at least I think Tommy, already, because wasn't when he left for the disc finale, like, when Tommy left for the disc finale with Tubbo, Eret came to see them off, and Tommy said, I forgive you, or maybe not forgive you, but he's like, I understand, or like, he's like, thank you for being here, or like, they had a moment. Like, I feel like he's kind of in the clear at this point, but character Eret doesn't feel that way. I
mean, like, does it really... Tommy was saying a bunch of shit to a bunch of people.
That's true.
So it could have just been, we wanted to remember something nice. But, like, it's interesting because I feel like character Eret is the person who keeps trying to change, keeps trying to be someone different, keeps trying to be better. But they never...
do it?
Well, I wouldn't say they never do it, because they have been doing things like, oh, I need to be a better king, starts imposing taxes.
Nah, I don't really think that's better, my man.
Well, it's
but
being
right.
more of a leader than they were before, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, they did try and do a bunch of things, but none of the things they did got any sort of reaction from the people they wanted reaction from.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of why it's such and I, again, crossing over with the fandom versus, with the whole content creator thing, no matter what content creators do, the fandom will never be satisfied.
That's true. That is very, very true.
They're trying to please something that is insatiable, something that will never be happy with what you do, even if you do everything for them. And I feel like, again, that a lot of the quote-unquote whining from character Eret is also interceded with the sort of reception content creator Eret received after the betrayal, and how kept going. Like, I think, again, I heard this from someone else, that Eret content creator was worried, kind of upset about the fact that so many people were being hostile. People in the fan were being hostile to them because of the betrayal. And I remember something about, and I heard them say something about Dream, saying, "Don't worry, it'll pass over." But it never really did.
Well, that's because this fandom is fucking feral.
It's
and
toxic,
can't act like grown adults sometimes.
Yeah. But like, if you view it from the sort of content creator is bleeding into character, sort of more than usual sort of thing. Content creator situation bleeding into character situation.
Yeah.
Character Eret's complaining about being misviewed constantly, and about the reaction being to their betrayal being overblown, makes a whole lot more sense now.
Yeah. Although, talking about character Eret so much, I have realized some very just sort of interesting things, because I was talking so much about how that character is an interesting foil to character Dream. But it's also, when you think about it, there's some interesting, like, comparisons, contrasts to character Wilbur there too, with the whole forgiveness thing, because character Wilbur at first was apologizing to people, but like was sort of expecting a reaction, and then when they didn't get it, he got, upset. And character Eret's been doing the exact same thing of like, well, I'm apologizing, but they don't actually seem to forgive me, so I have to keep apologizing, to the point that it's become like almost an obsession, like a desperation to be forgiven.
Validated.
Validated, that's a good word for it too. Which is extra interesting when you consider the fact that at this point, so much has happened on the Dream SMP that nobody really gives a fuck about the final control room anymore, if they even remember it. Like, it's such an interesting... It does make for a very interesting character, of a character who did something wrong in the past, and in the past it was a big deal, and they were, vilified for it. Somewhat rightfully so, considering he just, led a bunch of people to their deaths, accidentally or not. But
like, to be fair, the final control room was meant to be like the last battle, because they were going to take all their things and say, surrender and we'll give you your stuff back.
Recently, I saw someone on Tumblr point out that in like a more like realistic adaptation of the Dream SMP, like what would make sense is that in the final control room, instead of killing them, they like beat them up and take all their stuff off them.
Yeah, which is
Strip
basically
them down
what it
to
was.
the boxes and kick them to the curb.
It's just the only way to do that in Minecraft, is to actually kill people.
Like, Tommy trips over and bangs his head and falls unconscious.
But still,
basically.
So like, it's just interesting. For this, it's an interesting character premise of having a character who genuinely did do something morally wrong, because it is wrong to betray a bunch of people who think that you're their friend and lead them to a trap, sure. Who does that, becomes vilified for it and hated by all their former friends, sure, and then keeps trying to redeem themselves, but the redemption at this point is not unnecessary, but like almost forgotten, because all of these characters have been through such worse crap since then that not a single one of them, I'm pretty sure,
honestly, I
would
feel like
spare
if
a second
Eret just
thought.
never brought up, Eret just never brought up the betrayal ever again, it would never get mentioned. Like, it would never come up if they didn't mention it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like this weird, like, self-repeating cycle of every time that character Eret's trying to apologize, all that they're doing is reminding people they betrayed them in the first place. And it's just making them suffer over and over and over again, especially because they're desperate for this forgiveness and for this, like, sincere, like, acceptance of their apology when no one gives a fuck. And, like, they don't give a crap unless you remind them about it. And then they're like, oh, right, you betrayed me once. Fuck off. Like, it's not gonna work.
It's
like, you have to just stop.
It's
like,
the thing where you remember every single bad shit you said, but the person you spoke to probably doesn't even, like, recall the conversation.
Yeah.
Because you remember, you keep stewing on it, you keep thinking about it, you keep going, oh, I should have done something else. And
yeah,
that's
I
Eret.
need to apologize. I need to apologize. Like, bitch, no one remembered what you're even apologizing for until you reminded them. And, like, yeah, if you did something wrong, even if other people forget about it, you should probably apologize. But it's also that thing of, like, if you did something wrong and no one knows about it, you bringing it back up isn't helping anyone. Which, also ties into the content creator thing of people, like, digging up shit from their past. It's like, yeah, if someone digs up something from your past and it gets out there, you should definitely apologize for it. But if no one knows about it and you're just, like, out here being like, I'm so sorry for this thing that I did that none of you even remember I ever did or know that I did.
Or even the people digging this shit up. Like, why are you bringing it up again? That was a decade ago.
Yeah.
Very different person now.
Yeah, it's just, it's like simultaneously, yes, you should apologize for things that you've done wrong, especially to the people that you've done them to. But on the other hand, is it creating more harm than it is helping by telling someone who cares about you or is beginning to, like, deem you as a friend to be like,
I think especially the case of stuff like bringing up deletion videos and stuff, because, like, they're deleted for a reason, you know?
It's just like bringing it back just into the character realm. It's like, okay, so if, let's say you, I don't know, stole someone's bike when you were younger. Maybe you did it for a good reason. Maybe you didn't. You stole someone's bike when you were younger, and then, like, a year later, you become friends with this person. They don't really remember the fact that someone stole their bike or know that it was you. And you just, they mention it offhandedly one day because of a slight conversation of being like,
is it like bike insurance?
Can
you get insurance on a bike?
No, probably not. But, like, that sort of, like,
that's just a sentence that you can have insurance on.
I don't think you can insure a bike. I mean, a motorcycle.
It depends on where you buy it from.
I mean, I think you insure most things.
I mean, there's
it's
warranties.
Just, most it's not really worth it.
I don't. That's not important right now.
No.
But, like, it's like, so let's say you stole somebody's bike. A year later, you're becoming friends with this person. They don't, like, know that you're the one who stole their bike. But, like,
do you know you're
does
the
it
one who stole their bike?
Yeah, maybe you accidentally figure it out or some shit, and it's like, is it actually helpful for me to be like, hey, you know that bike that you lost that meant a lot to you, that you've sort of gotten past now? I'm the one who stole it. Haha, whoops, I'm sorry. And they're just like, what the fuck do you mean you stole that bike? That bike belonged to my grandma. It was all I had of them. Like, what? Like, that's, like, you're a person who steals bikes? Do I even know you? Like, it's not helpful?
It's
like,
so,
does
like,
that help them?
Though. That's the thing, though. What Eret wants is self-closure. Because it's other people aren't going to them, again, like you're saying, other people aren't going to them to talk about the betrayal. But
they're going
Eret,
to other
this
people.
Is such they are. But it's such a big part of their character, and it's affected such a huge part of their lives. It's difficult for them to, like, get over it. But also, they want to, everything they've been doing, they've been trying to sort of find closure and just, like, be validated that, yes, they're a different person, that, yes, they've changed, that, yes, they're not the same person who pulled that betrayal shit, like, a year ago now. That they have moved, they want to be validated that they have managed to move on. And by going, and to do that, to do that, they need that validation from other people, right?
Yeah.
They can't give it to themselves.
Yeah. Which is generally true, although I think with this most recent, and we'll have to see, because, you know, we could get a stream of Eret being in character, like, 2 weeks from
Sweet.
now, and they're back on their bullshit of being
yeah,
I need to be
your microphone
forgiven.
again.
But based off of this, like, most recent episode? I don't know, stream, it seems like they might have gotten that validation based off this conversation with Wilbur, like, because I'm pretty sure, based off the recap anyways, that they end off the stream talking about how she feels better, or finally forgiven, which is interesting that they needed it from Wilbur of all people. But okay.
I mean, they're a huge Wilbur fanboy.
That is true. I kind of forget the fact that character Eret's a Wilbur stan. It's
and also,
just a
like,
fucking weird trait, but
but also, like, Wilbur, ultimately, it wasn't, like, if you think about it, it's mostly Wilbur they feel like they probably betrayed with that thing. It's Wilbur's forgiveness they were looking for the most. It was Wilbur they couldn't get that forgiveness from because he fucking killed himself.
I wonder if there's something up with that. Like, do they want to be forgiven? Because I feel they're so, like, what's the self-recriminating over the whole betrayal thing. I sort of get the feeling that maybe they don't want to be forgiven, and that's why it's such a big thing for them.
It's hard
and maybe
to
that's
say.
why they felt like they needed an apology from Wilbur, because Wilbur was dead, they couldn't possibly get an apology, so they sort of had an excuse for feeling bad about it forever.
Yeah, it kind of, it was an excuse to not get that, you know, much needed character growth, and not move past it.
I don't know.
I am hoping that character Eret does genuinely move past, like, the L'Manberg final control room thing, because that literally happened, like, 2 years ago, and that's all their character seems to focus on. So I'm ready and willing for character Eret to, you know, move on, cause new problems, have new things to obsess over and feel bad about, you know. So I genuinely do hope that, like, this thing with character Wilbur kind of helps them get past that.
They should go on to, like, a new character arc and be, like, a tyrant who's going after everyone for taxes or something.
Honestly, the taxes! The taxes. Yeah.
No, but, like...
You're the good guy now. Your taxing
like,
proves it.
I mean... Again, I feel like Eret likes to sort of recap what I feel like Eret's character is a bit like. They want to be on the right side of history. They want to be a good person. They're a little selfish about it, though.
Yeah.
And they like... I don't know. It's difficult because I don't know a lot about Eret, because Eret,
Eret is not a character I've focused a lot of time on.
Eret is...
I think this is the most in-depth conversation I've ever had about character Eret that was a positive conversation.
That's because Drebblers were feral that day. No, but it's like...
Oh, what's up with the actual... Wait, let me see if I can find it and read it out,
screenshot?
okay?
Oh no.
Yeah.
What were you all saying so about funny. Poor character Eret?
No, it's just... I feel like I want to say I feel like
literally no one cares. Shut the fuck up. No one fucking cares. Log in, Dream, do it. Oh, I was so tormented by people's opinions. Worst thing in my life. No one could ever understand me.
Drug
yeah,
lord.
the other guy they made the villain got fucking tortured in prison. Get a little perspective. As great as a Maverick, my guy, it got blown up 3 times.
Y'all really
As great as a
go
Maverick,
feral.
die. 3 times.
Dribbler
It's
went
dead. In the ground. Gone.
I saw this without knowing any of the context. I was laughing. Oh, there was this thing I wanted to say and forgot it. Oh no, I feel like I do think though that Eret's character in general would have benefited a whole lot if they were able to complete their redemption arc during Pogtopia.
Honestly, that would have been a good moment for it. 'Cause it was, you know, it was recent, you know, like
People remembered it. It was
people remembered
they
what
were
they
they
did.
were actively
Okay, here's another
putting
one.
themselves
This
out
is literally
to
just
help
Dream,
Poctopia.
literally just fucking Dream's reasoning. Oh, so like Dream then, literally like Dream. Why is everyone on this server a fucking character Dream Kitty? What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, Dribbler apparently just lost their shit, huh?
They
Yeah,
did.
actually, why are so many? You know, when you consider the fact
okay, I'm
that
going
like
up, I'm going
character dreams, like his like actual motivations are, it becomes very easy to look at all the other characters and be like, huh?
Why are you a dream, Kenny?
You two are
here's another one.
similar.
From DR3. Yeah, you're a traitor to your own people, Eret. You acted directly against the nation you were king over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think Eret's arc would have benefited a lot more had the redemption arc had happened during Poctopia. Because the thing is, like, yes, because they were going against Dreams and the Dream SMP's wishes by supporting Poctopia against a nation they literally have a peace treaty with. And I feel like there could have been a lot of really cool and interesting development there, where you have Eret sneaking out to help Poctopia, or maybe not so sneakily helping Poctopia, and then Dream, they're constantly reminding, hey, Eret, you shouldn't be doing that, you're king, you need to be neutral, you don't have to help Schlatt, but you can't help Poctopia either. Until it comes to a head, and like, it's annoying, it's frustrating, because Eret loses their kingdomship the day of the fighting. The day the war ends is when Eret loses their kingship. Like, if it happened sooner, we could have gotten like so many interesting no longer king is now a Poctopia rebellion interactions of the Eret interactions of other Poctopia rebellion interactions. Maybe we could have seen more of that fucking Wilbur is an asshole and refuses to, like, paranoid asshole, and refuses to even acknowledge Eret's presence or his help or his desire to change and be a better person, quote unquote, to help Poctopia or whatever. But that didn't happen. Because everything happened on the same fucking day. We had no time for any of that, and it could have been such a cool arc.
I really loved Poctopia, but I will say that the Poctopia arc definitely
suffers from time constraints.
Suffers from time constraints, and then not giving people a chance to
suffers
tell
from
the
Wilbur's
they
vision.
Want. I'm not gonna put that all on Wilbur.
Do you guys want to talk about the question of the week quick before we finish up?
For legal
yes.
reasons, it was a joke.
Yes, question of the week. I have an idea for the one that I want to ask for next week. But we should talk about last week.
Let's talk about the
Did we get any responses? Last week was probably last week's was probably last week's.
I mean, there's a good chance.
We didn't have an episode last week.
Yeah, this one is from like
4 weeks ago.
The start of the month. 2nd of May.
Oh,
That's so sad.
Where do you think? Oh, okay, I found it.
And it's now the 22nd
assuming
of May.
this is the right one. Where do you think character Tommy and character Wilbur's stories will end? Is that where we're at?
Right.
I said he should die.
Looks like it's happening, guys. Nikki's gonna tear into Wilbur when he goes for that apology.
Nikki, that might be a stream I actually have to watch because
I do want to see.
I do want to see Nikki just absolutely tear into Wilbur because I feel like that's both gonna be heartbreaking and epic, moment-wise. So
like, I want
do
to
need
say,
watch that.
I know Wilbur is fucking suicidal, but I also want to say that he's been having it easy so far with his quote-unquote apologies. Because
I think
everybody
giving
he's
him the
talked to,
toughest time.
Okay, but like, what if he's doing like the death flags like on
he is
purpose?
so much.
I don't know
doing
why
death
he'd
flags.
want to die again, considering he really, really hated Limbo.
Yeah, it's I think me and one of the Discord members had a conversation about this because the question of the week I just said death for character Wilbur because to be fair I just don't like character Wilbur, but also because I mean I don't know, but no, mostly that reason. Mostly I just don't like character Wilbur, so I was like, just kill him off, do it.
Break
but,
that block.
But they had a good point of that would make them sad, and I think you have a good point of the fact that like him killing him, like okay, suicide trigger warning, because I guess we're trying to talk about that for a little bit.
What's the DSMP?
Yes. Him killing himself doesn't make a ton of sense when you consider the fact that, like, yes, no, he does absolutely despise Wilbur. But maybe he hates himself enough that he's like, I deserve to suffer like that, but I don't see that personally. I do think it'd be funny if he died completely incidentally, like, not him killing himself, but someone else kills him or something like that. I think what's more likely is that, assuming this is a hard ending and we won't see a return of him, he leaves the server. I think is the only other option. I don't think there's a way you can really give a character an ending on the Dream SMP unless it's like the Dream SMP ends itself, they die, or they're like, yeah, I'm leaving. Like, I don't see an ending to it unless they just sort of mysteriously stop really showing up, which, I mean, that is an option. But I think for character Wilbur, you can't just have him, like, end a stream and then disappear. I mean, I guess you could, maybe if you had, like, a satisfactory, like, a really nice conclusion to the stream, and then you just never streamed as them again. You could do that, but I think he kind of, I don't think Wilbur as a content creator is necessarily the type to do that. I think he wants, like, a hard, like, concrete ending. Like, I think he likes to let people theorize about, like, what happens to the characters, but I think when it comes to, like, the true ending of the characters,
he likes having something
he likes
definitive.
to give details, as we've seen with him and, like, Ghostbur and talking about Limbo. Like, he doesn't like to leave things hanging. He's not like Dream, who likes to leave us guessing everything. I think he likes to give more concrete answers to the audience, which I can appreciate for one. But so I think character Wilbur is gonna have to get like a hard ending of, like, he leaves the server because he's like, I've done my apologies, staying here can only hurt people, I'm leaving, kind of thing, which I think I'd be
I
down
am
for that.
still kind of like thinking that content creator Wilbur might end up just making a new character after character Wilbur
Well, you
leaves
saw how that
the story.
Argument
Because he tried to leave. He tried to leave when Wilbur died the first time,
and then failed.
and he just ended up making Ghostbur.
Yeah, I miss Ghostbur.
But that was because Tommy and other people were playing on the server. But I do think an argument for Wilbur dying again would be content creator Wilbur likes angst.
That is fucking true. Dear God, that man, what the hell? It's not okay. It's not okay!
Alright, so what should we do for this week's question?
Oh, I have a question. Since we were talking about character Eret's presidential skills, which I personally think were not great.
Kingmanship.
What did I say? Leadership?
You said presidential. He was not elected.
Right, sorry. Leadership skills, kingly duties. I think his leadership skills are pretty piss poor. So my question is, who do you believe has been the best political leader and the worst political leader of the Dream SMP?
Dream.
Not just the greater Dream SMP, but like the SMP
no,
in
Dream's
total.
not actually that good of a leader.
No, he's a good war leader, but he's kind of sucks at everything else.
He's a good general. He's not really a good, like, president.
He's like
I can get you through
like
this
Bismarck.
fighting, but I can't.
He's
figure
good
out
at foreign policy, but not good at domestic.
Yeah. So my question is, who was the best and the worst political leaders, of any political country on the Dream SMP? Because I think that's gonna get some different answers, because you have, like, a large variety there with, like, Quackity, Tubbo, Wilbur.
Bad,
Technically Dream. Bad.
Technically bad.
Eret, Schlatt.
Carl.
Carl. Yeah, you guys have got a variety of options here.
My pick would be Schlatt.
See,
They didn't do anything that was outside of their power.
Wait, for the
They were
best?
I just
Elected
felt like a festival, even though it was
democratically.
like an undercover execution.
I mean, technically the execution wasn't illegal.
No, because it was
Yeah,
literally
he
a
was
traitor.
executing someone who was part of his government,
Who committed treason?
which at least makes it a bit more legit
Yeah.
than Nuala Manberg executing Techno, who
He's
was
not even part of the country.
literally just off in the Arctic somewhere, living in the tundra.
So yeah, my
So-
vote goes out to Schlatt.
Shot for best leader. You know what? I can accept that. Honestly, I don't disagree with that.
I mean,
but-
like, Carl's alright, but more in the case that he hasn't done
He
really
hasn't
done
done
anything
much.
Carl
very
just-
good or very bad.
Well,
He's just kind of hanging out.
No,
he
has
commissioned
the
someone to build the place, and that was about it.
no. His other good thing would be that he realized immediately how much of a dumbass Sapnap was to not give Dream his armor back and paint a target on Kinoko's back.
You know what? I forgot about that. Technically, he has done something as a leader. Oh lord. Okay, so this is gonna be an option for hot debate for people. So yeah, everyone.
Also, when someone showed up that he remembered as trying to get him killed, he immediately said,
Get out of my
"Hey,
country.
you get out of here."
Carl's actually somehow taking a high spot in the good leadership category, which is
There's not
interesting.
much competition.
There's not much
Anyways.
competition.
Yeah, let's end the episode here then. Everyone, tell us
Alrighty.
your best
Yeah.
and worst political leaders of all the characters on the Dream SMP.
And give us reasons why.
Yeah, and explain your reasoning because that's funnier.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Alrighty. Bye.
See ya.
Well, thanks for listening to the 51st episode of Mellohi, and we hope you enjoyed it. If there's any topic you'd like to hear us discuss, feel free to leave a comment or find us on Twitter at Mellohi Podcast, where you can also ask us questions or just get updates about new episodes. We also have a Discord server that you can find a link to in the description. See you next time!